Heads rolling in Rajini project. So, what do we mean by heads rolling in Rajini projects? Literally, if we see some of Rajini's films, especially the recent ones, would be probably more memorable for the fans, Hollywood fans. If you take the super duper 2004 hit Chandramukhi, that film was such a big hit that when they released the film in places like Andhra and Kannada, what do you call it, Karnataka and so on. Although the original and other versions of Chandramukhi were around, still the Rajini version did tremendously well. One thing of note in the Rajini's version is that the comedy has been amped up, the hero's mass presence has been amped up, right? And then the way Rajini portrayed the veteran king. So, in that film, there will be a scene where Rajini will kick the head of, will behead, right, Jyotika's lover and kick the head. So, heads rolling in Rajini project, right? And that film became a big hit. Although people associate that with a very negative imagery, right? People dying and all that. Of course, there are certain sacrificial concepts in religion as well, where they will sacrifice a goat or some animal to how to say, have some blessing or some victory in some activity, right? So, interestingly enough, this kind of murder or killing also is somehow associated with growth. I'm talking about animal sacrifice, and in that film, in a way, somebody sacrificed, and so the film became a big hit. And then subsequently in the film Indran Robo, there will be a scene where the villain takes Rajini's head and kicks it. The robot situation, right? There's always the scene of the robot's head being taken away from the body. So again, something negative, but that film did tremendously well also. All right, and then of course we come to the new one, which you can see Mohanlal coming out from pickup truck. That film Jailer also had a scene where Rajini chops off somebody's head. I guess only consolation for fans is he does not kick it out into the sky. You see, so although it's a horrible thing, of course, in day-to-day life, but this is a movie, a fiction, so of course people have the maturity for that. These kind of murders and all this are usually associated with terrorists. You see this happening a lot in the Middle East and so on. But in the context of South India and film industry, you do see that a lot interesting in Rajini films, which actually lots of families go to watch. So that is something interesting chain of patterns. And Loki's big hit, this film called Vikram, also had such a beheading scene without a head. The girl will be beheaded by the villain and so on. And maybe Loki decided to take it one step further in Leo by literally talking about a human sacrifice to the gods. I think that was a bit too much and didn't work out so well for him. And Loki started the trend of wearing that black Rudraksha Loki and Dhanush. But many people spent a lot of money buying those chains, and then later found that it didn't really make much of a difference in luck. But anyway, that trend is sort of quiet now. So what we have is beheadings consistently. Now Loki, the human sacrifice guy, and superstar Rajinikanth, who somehow thrives in negativity. Both of them combining in this film Coolie. So we're very curious to know, for sentiment reasons, Hollywood loves sentiments, for sentiment reasons, whether they're gonna keep one beheading scene inside there. So let's see whether they keep it, number one, and number two, if they keep it, whether the film does tremendously well. If it does well, then sorry guys, you're gonna see people's heads getting chopped off in every other Hollywood movies after this. So brace yourselves for blood and gore. But on an associated note, I mean, for those who believe in astrology, I'm talking about, so some of my family members, they talk about these things. They talk about Rahu effect, Ketu effect, Sunny effect, and how, although seemingly negative, they can be positive for that individual depending on their star and so on, right? So I don't know if you believe in astrology or not, but I do see that Rajini has this interesting thing going on where negative things turn positive for him. So I give an example. I think I've talked a bit about this before, but since this new sentiment of head rolling is coming in, I will just link it up with some of the other patterns we see in Rajini hit films. So one example is jail. Right, jail is associated with something quite negative, isn't it? But if you see in Rajini films where he is associated with jail, usually those movies tend to do quite well. If you see the film Sivaji, they will show him behind bars in jail, remember? And then if you see Manidan back in the day, although people go about Nayagan by Kamal, but you just see the YouTube videos of Maniratnam and Vetrimaran's interview where they say that actually box office wise Manidan did better. Alright, so that film also you will see Rajini in jail. There's even a song about that, on about jail and outside, and how some good people end up in jail and some bad people are just loitering outside and all that. So other negative things like snakes. Again, Chandramukhi, there's a huge snake there, isn't it? That's like just loitering around, running around, God knows why. And you see here Padayappa, Rajini, he will take the snake out from the puttu, right? Okay. So snakes are another negative thing. In Annamalai, we saw a scene of Rajini with a snake, sort of moving around him. Many films where Rajini and snake are linked. The snake is which one? I often can't remember. Is it the Kedu star or something in astrology? But anyway, I digress. So snakes have been good to Rajini, and then of course names also. Even he tended to name his film based on names that are considered a bit untrendy or more of older generation, our grandfather, great grandfather type of names. Arunachalam, Annamalai, right? This kind of more esoteric names. Kabali, in fact, Kabali in MGR films usually they will give it for the villain henchman. So again, we see how Rajini negative things when associated with him, it he by himself or by his star, it reverts into positive. In fact, you all know that he entered the Hollywood industry as a villain, not as a hero, and at a time where dark skin was considered like how to say a negative connotation again. Heroes were usually supposed to be fair skin like MGR or Sivaji and Muthuraman, all these kind of things. So again, he took it up and broke it, right? His hairstyle at the time was not neat, not very neatly combed. It'll just be all over the place, and he'll flick it with his hand. All that became positive. So don't you guys all see that it's this interesting phenomenon, or maybe his psyche, maybe his regular meditation, his faith in Hinduism, whereby he is able to attract, hold on to negativity and twist it into positive aura and energy. So that's the interesting thing I find about Rajini. And even in his friendship or his frenemy is a very precise word to describe Kamala Hassan, because there's always that jealousy, the undercurrent of some hatred, but at the same time on the superficial level you see them being very friendly, trying to set a good example to the fans. But Kamal is struggling a lot with the negative aura and all these kind of things. We can somewhat see that. But Rajini, through a lot of work in spirituality, is able to always see positive. So Kamal, what is the reason suddenly we have to see Rajini when he got MLA or whatever political position? Seems a bit odd, isn't it? Or maybe is Kamal trying to rub it in the face of Rajini, saying that I succeeded in politics and you ran away? Is it so? I don't know, right? But whatever Kamal's intention, maybe he just went to see a friend. All these are theories. But Rajini took it with open heart. He happily wished his friend. So that spirituality, that lack of negativity in the mind, maybe that is also something that helps Rajini turn any kind of negative thing into positive ones. So what do you guys think about negative aura and Rajini? Do share in the comment section. Any other film factors that you noticed before? Thank you. Bye bye.